So what genre of childhood studies would you say you work in?
Oh, God.
I mean, I think in terms of, the simplest would be in terms of how people define their roles. So like Mandel's least adult child is one role. Casaro's perspective is another one.
I think I come from more of a Casaro sort of place. I mean, I really love his work, and definitely following in an interpretive tradition where you just try to, you know, document and testify to the importance of the tribes of child, or Alice and James, that kind of orientation. You know, I've done work in schools where I know a lot of people and I'm very familiar, and I think that turns a little bit of it on its head. I have not been able to get into schools in urban environments. I think that will be something that I really want to do. I do work in Germany, and I think that's also interesting because my German is not great. So the children see me as somebody who is in desperate need of help.
Yep.
And that changes things. You know, they're always showing me this is, you know, what this is, and she doesn't understand. You've got to help her. That has been interesting to me. I've done some work in India also where I have no linguistic hope of any kind. And that puts me in that camp, I think, pretty squarely. But it's always a challenge, and it's always a negotiation. And even in a site where I have been for 500 plus hours, it's still a negotiation every day in terms of what are you doing? Why are you? You know, there was a moment a couple weeks ago where a child, you know, I'm always writing in my little book, and I tried not to write, but I can't remember. And I don't record. I never use recording devices. I take a page out of Davies, and I don't ever do that. And a little girl came to me and she said, "What are you writing?" I said, "Oh, I'm writing down what I see." "What do you see?" I said, "I see children playing." I said, "Okay." She walked away and she came back. She said, "I need you to write something down. Write down that so-and-so cannot play with me today. Because if I write it, it makes it real." And that was a little bit disturbing to me because I thought to myself, I'm disrupting. I mean, there's an observer's paradox, but I wondered, and then the next day I didn't bring my notebook. And thinking maybe that would, if I could just remember and go out to my car and just record, you know, put on my iPhone everything I remembered. It didn't really work out well, but I wonder about that. I wonder about how the children, as they grow, you know, and they all know me and they see me all the time, and how I'm fitting in and not fitting in that site. And I think a lot about it, about the right way to do it. You know, I have colleagues who go and, you know, I see them, not colleagues at UMass, but colleagues in sort of child study in general, who don't interact in the field site. They sit in the corner. But when somebody brings you a plate of plastic food, you better pretend to eat it.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like,
That's rude.
This is delicious. This is plastic watermelon. They say that, you know, they want to try to not, because they'll never be a child, and they say, oh, by interacting and playing and accepting an invitation to play, I'm trying to be a giant child. And I said, no, you know, the kids know I'm not a child, but you have to be a person. You can't, you know, it's not like there's a wall there, and you don't, you know, the few times I've been invited into play, that's a precious moment because it doesn't happen very often. You know, I've tried to interplay and it's just a failure. I can't. I have to wait for them to bring me the plastic food or bring me a puppet or, you know, what have you. Because they don't know and I don't know. Every day it's going to be different. And I wish I had the magic formula, but I think it depends on the children and the context and your position and their position and the larger sort of social things moving forward. You know, if I was at an all-girls school, be very different than at a diverse public preschool, rural place where everybody is everybody else's cousin, which is where I am right now.